Hey guys, so we're doing something a little different today, and I've been asking for questions all week, and I'm going to do kind of a Q&A video with a lot of shorter answers to a lot of things that you guys have asked. A lot of them are music related, some of them are kind of stupid. Bear with me if there's a little bit of awkwardness. I have my iPad in front of me and I'm reading them off there, so I have to find all the questions because they kind of came in different places. So yeah. I'm going to start with the ones that came into my inbox, and we'll go from there. So the first one is from Acoustic Accompaniment, and they asked, what's your favorite instrument and why? Also, what's your favorite artist, being band-wise or classical musician? My favorite instrument is flute, though I really love oboe and cello as well. I love the timbre of the instrument, and if I had to go back and switch instruments and couldn't play flute at all, I'd probably play one of those two. My favorite artist. It's really hard because I actually don't listen to a lot of classical music on my free time. I obviously listen to a ton of it all the time, but when I'm really just trying to veg out, or like I'm running, or I'm just listening to music for fun, I'm always listening to pop music, and it's not really pop music, it's more eclectic than that. But my favorite band for the last eon has been Within Temptation, which is a Dutch symphonic metal band. No one's ever heard of them, but they're amazing, and I have seen them live, and like I just love them. So I'm gonna go with Within Temptation for that. Any tips on Flute Faith asked, any tips on entering your undergrad performance degree? I've made videos about this in the past, but basically you are no longer the best, and that's good. Listen to everything anyone has to say and absorb it and apply it and practice. Obviously, you want to have a social life, you want to have fun, and don't just stay in a practice room. Like, you want to make friends and you want to make connections, but you're in school for music. That is what you have to do. That's my biggest tip. I do have other videos on this, and I've talked about this a lot, so if you want more information, I can make another video, or I can link you to some others. But my biggest thing is listen to everyone, and listen to your elders, and practice. Practice. Okay. Next one is from Brutally Kind. They ask, major or minor keys, what piece makes you feel happy? I like modes. I really like pieces that are based on modes of delimited transposition, so like whole tone scales, things that aren't traditional diatonic modes, and atonal stuff, as proven by my propensity for contemporary music. But if I have to pick between major and minor, I'm going to say minor, because I think there's much more interest in the keys that way. And also because you have the option for the raised leading tone or the raised 6th and 7th, that you get a lot more excitement. And it's a lot more emotional. And a piece that makes me happy is Griffith's poem. It was the first piece I learned after my first surgery. And it was really the piece that showed me that I was going to get back to the form I was in, and I was going to be even better. Because I suddenly had all this musical ideas, and I had a beautiful sound that I didn't have before. So it was really exciting to hear myself do that, and so that piece always makes me happy, no matter what. Words Bite So Do I asks a very difficult question that I am dealing with right now, which is, how do you go about finding jobs once you're done schooling? If you want to play in orchestras, then there's sites like Musical Chairs, and there's also the Facebook group. There's Facebook groups for most of the instruments about which chairs are open. And then there's a matter of applying and auditioning. Otherwise, it's word of mouth, getting on sub lists, putting your name out there, and just working really hard to be in ensemble manager's face. It's just about moving to a place and getting your name out there, having business cards, having a website, having media presence, so that people think of you when they need an instrument player. And there's also job postings and things like that, and you have to be really on it, but it's about being constantly vigilant. And that's something I'm dealing with next year, so I hopefully will be able to tell you more about that next year. But, yeah, it's like getting your name in people's brains and working hard to get there. And having recordings is really, really important. Having proof of performance is really important. Like, save your programs and everything like that. Because especially coming out of school, that's all the experience you really have. So you have to be able to prove that you have it. Anonymous asked, what exactly is vibrato? How does one produce it? That's the million-dollar question. Vibrato is manipulation of sound and pitch. When singers have it seems like they're wobbling on a pitch, but it's very controlled. That's what vibrato is. It's an expressive quality. Flute players use it all the time, as do singers. And how it's produced is kind of up for debate. I've always been taught that it comes from the chest and your body. I know some people do it, like, think about it in their throat. I know some people think about it in their mouth even. But it's basically a manipulation of the pitch and dynamic and waves. Yeah, it's hard to explain without actually, like, having someone demonstrate. Anonymous asks, how many languages can I speak? I speak 3. I speak English, I speak French, and I speak Dutch. Yeah. Anonymous asked, and I know who sent this, I need to know, do girls poop? Yes, we do. Anonymous also a different Anonymous asks, how can I leave the trash can? I don't know what that means. Flute Faith also asked, I don't know if this is for the video, but we're gonna put it in the video. Any tips on the second movement of the Awazin flute, horn, and piano trio? Yes! It's all about blending, and it's all about being one voice, because the whole thing is so beautiful. So it's really about fitting into the horn sound, because the flute is the higher voice, and the horn is decently low through most of the movement, so it's easier for the flute to fit into the horn sound. It has to be really, really smooth, really long lines, and you have to be really aware of what the other members of the trio are doing, and imitate that in your lines that echo them. So the horn opens with the main theme, and then you have to follow that with the proper answer. It's really worthwhile to work with just the horn player in a rehearsal. So let your pianist take a day off and just work with the flute and horn to really figure out how those sounds mesh. And work out all the tempo changes and everything like that. Make sure you have know exactly what's going to happen, because then you can just play. And LA Flute Elephant has like 5 questions. So, okay. The first one. Practice. You have to practice about 2.5 hours a day, squashed in between other non-music commitments. Arrive at school early for 30 minutes of practice. Use 45 minutes at lunch to practice 3 days a week. Stay 45 minutes after school to practice, and can maybe do 30 to 60 minutes at home in the evenings, weekends, and are usually okay for 2 to 3 hours a day. No ensemble work, just weekly lessons. In other words, you have a non-playing job who are weirdly tolerant of you finding a distant corner to practice in before and after work, and neighbors who are fairly friendly, but you don't want to give them cause for complaint. What do you do? First thing I would do is talk to your neighbors. Tell them, these are the times I'm gonna be practicing. Is that okay? Please let me know if that's fine. Please let me know if there's a situation where you won't want me to play, and everything like that. Just be very open about it. There's a chance that they'll tell you no, but if you've been doing this for a while, the chances are they don't care. And from what I've experienced, most people don't care about flute. We're pretty. um, and as, like what you say, do what you can when you can, and make the most of it when you can. And if your employer doesn't seem to mind, then take it and run. If they tell you to stop, then obviously stop. But if they don't care what you do on your break or after work, then keep doing it. It seems fine. How do you stay motivated when playing in a group isn't really a possibility? And then there's an explanation. I mean, it's hard. What I would do is find a competition or a masterclass series that you want to do, or something small that you can work towards, so that you have a goal. Because I'm very goal oriented, and I always need some kind of project to be working on. So make yourself a project. Like, talk to a church and ask them to do a small recital, or if you can play at their Sunday services or something like that. Give yourself something to work towards. And so even when you can't play with a group, you can be playing towards something. Recommendation of recording of a piece you love, a piece you like, a piece you think you should learn, a piece you think everyone should hear, and a piece you don't like but lots of people love. Okay, so the recording of a piece I love is Claire Chase's recording of Density 21.5. I think it's absolutely perfect. A piece I like is Martin New Sonata. A piece I think everyone should hear, definitely Cassandra's Dream Song. A piece you think everyone a piece you think everyone should learn. I'm gonna say Density, actually, as it's a really great introduction into the contemporary repertoire, and Varese is so important to music as a whole that I think it's really important to think about that. And a piece I don't like, lots of people love, Carmen Fantasy. And the last thing is my favorite sonority exercises and my least favorite sonority exercises. I really love Maurice de la Sonority. I think he was really, really smart about the way he thought about flute, and all of his tone exercises are absolutely amazing. And I think my least favorite, I don't really have a least favorite. Also because I've been doing De La Sonorité for the past 10 years, so I haven't really had a chance to experience some of the others. I haven't really heard ones that I think are bad. I also really like the Trevor Y ones, and I know I'm not a big Trevor Y fan and have been very vocal about that, but his sound exercises are really great. So I don't really have a least favorite is the answer to that. And now I am trying to find the other questions that I have been asked. Whoa, okay. Went too far, apparently. Ha, found it. Okay. So, now these are the ones that were either asked directly on the post or replied to the post. So Ellie has one more question, and that is, how do you decide what you really want to do with flute when you don't have any I really like learning X music focus? I mean, you don't really have to. Most people are all-around players. I think a lot of you guys have seen me kind of go from an all-around player to a very focused player. But you don't have to. Most people do everything, and I have every intention of doing everything. I just like contemporary music more. So try things. Play in chamber music, play in large ensembles, play in contemporary ensembles, see what you can do, and see what experiences you can have, and what do you like the most. And if there's one that stands out, then go for that, and if it doesn't, then try to mix them up. Hurricane of Falling Stars says, I get really intense waves of fear that everything I'm doing in music is in vain, and that no matter what I do, I'll be good enough. Do you have any suggestions to combat that? Super dramatic, I know. Oh, that's so hard. It's rough. Like, the music world is rough, and it's really hard to constantly comparing yourself to people and constantly feeling like you're not good enough. And one of the things is everyone gets that feeling. Even seasoned professionals get that feeling. So you're in good company. Um, and there's a level of trust that you have to go into music. Trust that you will be good enough at some point if you work hard enough. The reality is that most of the people who get far are the people who worked hard. It's not the people who were super talented and got everything handed to them. The people that you see that are really successful, apart from the prodigies and they're their own creature, are the ones that worked hard and people liked. Coffee is needed. So if you're working hard and people like you at your school and you're getting performance opportunities, then you're on the right track. It might take you longer than some people, and it might not be the same career path as the person that you initially wanted to be, but you'll get there. And that's hard to remember sometimes, but keep that in mind. Next, Do You Hear the Music Play asks, how did music work in American schools? I realize it's a broad question, but honestly, the more I see on Tumblr, the less I understand about it. So, in high school, wind instruments generally play in marching band and then also in concert band. That's not always the case. Sometimes you only play in one, but marching band is a big thing. Then in college, there's 3 types of music schools that you can go to. There's conservatory, which is like the Manhattan School of Music, Eastman type thing. Very small school, very prestigious. Not a ton of academic outside of music work, but you have to get a degree, so it's not, but there's not a lot of it. And then there's the School of Music, which is like what I do, Jacobs School of Music, any of the big state schools that have a school of music. What I did in Toronto was also a school of music. So it's a place that you get a bachelor's of music, but you have to do a lot more academic rigor, and you're within a university that has its own degree system. So places like Indiana's the best example because it's the best known, but there's hundreds of them across the country. And then there's a college of music, which you may or may not get a bachelor's of music, but it's within the College of Arts and Science within an academic university or college. So those are going to be the smaller programs. They're usually less prestigious, but not any worse or better than some of the other programs. And you're going to do a lot more academic work. And as I said, you're not necessarily going to get a bachelor's of music. You might get a bachelor's of art in music, which is fine. And it's a 4-year program, and then you get your bachelor's. Most people will go on to their master's, where you get a master's in music, and then there's a DMA, which is a doctorate in musical arts. And the master's is usually 2 years. DM can be 3 or 4 usually. And yeah, apart from that, it's different from the English system in that we have to do more than just music in a degree. There's outside requirements, and especially in your undergrad, where you have to do English and math and history and all of the general education requirements that everyone else has to do. And yeah, it's... I can talk about that more in depth if you'd like. Pixie Cuts and Pianos asks, from one magician to another, I get waves of crippling self-doubt. Do you experience this, and how do you combat this? So I talked about this just now. The answer is yes, and I honestly just kind of put my head down and work harder. I'm sure other people have other methods to deal with it, but that's how I do. And the final question, Trentito Burrito asks, favorite wind quintet pieces? I really love the Stravinsky Wind Quintet, which is a not super well-known one. I really like the Hindemith Quintet. And I really like the Francais Quintet, the first one. I honestly don't love the wind quintet as a medium because the horn player makes it really, really hard to blend properly, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you have very, very different timbral voices, and it's very, very difficult to blend. When they work, like the Berlin Quintet, it's absolutely amazing, but bad wind quintets are bad. So it's kind of a difficult medium to work in. And the major sticking point is the horn player, just because they can't play as a horn player, they have to play as a woodwind, and that's harder for a lot of them because they're brass players. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so this is a longer video than normal, because I had a lot of questions, and some of them required more talking than I expected. So I hope this was fun and helpful, and if you guys want me to do more of these, please let me know. As always, if you have video ideas, let me know, and I will see you next week. End. My computer's being stupid, so you get a little weird face, Robin face, but now, if I can ever end this video,